This is a Fox News alert. You're looking at live pictures at San Francisco International Airport. Fox News has confirmed through the FAA that a Boeing 777 operated by Asiana Airlines crashed upon landing. Now, we cannot give you any further details. We don't know how many people were on board. Asiana Airlines is one of two top airliners operating out of South Korea, but this is an Asiana Airlines Boeing 777, which is a wide-body jet that has been in production and in use since the mid-1970s. It has a capacity of anywhere from 314 to 451 passengers. It is Boeing's one of its top-selling, best-selling models. But we don't know how many people were on board when it crashed upon landing, and those are the only details that we have. But obviously you can see smoke rising from the ground. It's unclear whether parts of the plane have gone into the water there, but if you've flown in or out of San Francisco International Airport, you know it is essentially surrounded by water when you land or take off. But we can't tell you any more details except that the FAA has confirmed that this Asiana Airlines jetliner has crashed at San Francisco International Airport. We're endeavoring to get further details. Before we get to weather right now, we're getting some further details on the crash of this Asiana airliner at San Francisco International Airport. There are the pictures, and you are seeing obviously some smoke coming from the plane. It crash landed. Apparently, according to KTVU, Channel 2 in San Francisco, the plane crashed while landing at the airport after its tail came off while it was touching down on the runway. According to a witness, the plane was just about to land. Its landing gear had actually come down when the tail of the plane suddenly came off. Now, again, this is according to KTVU Channel 2. After wobbling for a minute, the aircraft then flipped upside down, coming to a stop on the runway on its back. The plane reportedly is a Boeing 777. It was coming from South Korea, according to flight tracking information. We don't know how many people were on board that plane, but it carries as many as 451 passengers maximum. The 777, as it's known, is the world's largest twin-engine jet. And one would anticipate that there would be injuries, if not fatalities, but we cannot give you any of those details right now. But according to a witness, the plane was about to land. Its tail came off. After wobbling for a minute, the aircraft flipped upside down, coming to a stop on the runway on its back. Obviously, there are rescue crews there trying to get to people who may still be trapped inside, but we just don't know the casualties yet. But obviously, a horrible plane crash. This is one of the two top airlines from South Korea, and this was coming to San Francisco International Airport from South Korea, Asiana Airlines. The conditions there, by the way, were pretty good. Let's turn to Janice Dean to talk about those weather conditions at the airport. JD?
Yeah, Greg, right now we're looking at partly cloudy skies. Conditions are pretty good in terms of weather, but looking at the latest satellite radar imagery, we do have some cloud cover that is coming in. You know, they have something called the marine layer, and that's fog layer that comes off of the ocean. Right now, though, partly cloudy skies, but as I look back the last couple of hours, we did see some cloud cover move into the San Francisco region. Winds are light, though, and you can see the past 12 hours. If you look at the satellite imagery, you can see those clouds kind of building in and moving into the San Francisco area. Very cool waters here, so sometimes we get some fog and some cloud cover. But again, we were not dealing with severe conditions. We weren't dealing with a storm system or anything like that. Obviously, we will continue to monitor the weather there, but right now, partly cloudy skies, wind winds very light at the west-southwest at around 9 miles per hour, and the temperatures around 66 degrees. So, Greg, of course, whether they will look at weather in terms of whether or not this was, something that could have hampered the landing or not. So, but from what I can see within the last couple of hours, certainly looking at cloud cover, but conditions were calm, relatively speaking, in and around the San Francisco area.
All right. We're going to continue to follow the events here. A plane has crash landed. It's a Boeing 777. It is the largest twin-engine jet in the world. We don't know how many people were on board or the nature of any casualties, but according to a witness, according to KTVU, the plane's tail, as it was about to land, came off, causing the plane itself to wobble. It skidded along the runway, flipped upside down, coming to a stop at the end of the runway on its back. Rescue crews, obviously on the scene, were endeavoring to get more details about this plane crash. But we're going to continue to follow it and let you know as soon as we get more of those details. A Fox News alert. We're getting some brand new amateur videotape of this plane crash while landing at San Francisco International Airport. We're learning it was a Boeing 777 Asiana flight from Korea. No word on the number of people who were on board, the nature of any casualties or deaths. We're going to bring you those developments as we get them. But this, want to show you this. It runs 22 seconds. This is a video that has been posted on YouTube. It appears to be the immediate aftermath of the plane crash. Let's listen.
Yung parang buntot, yun yung sumayan sa runway. Oh my God.
Well, that is a 22-second clip from YouTube. It would appear it came from the terminal and a passenger probably either arriving or about to take off, taking the videotape of the immediate aftermath of that plane crash. A witness, according to television station KTVU, says that the plane was about to land. Its landing gear was down, but suddenly, just before it touched down, the tail of the plane, we can't tell you what part, but the tail of the plane came off, causing the plane to wobble. It skidded along the runway, flipped over, and came to a rest on its back. Emergency crews on the scene, undertaking rescues, no doubt, and we'll try to get you the details as we receive them. We'll continue to follow this breaking news story. We can tell you that this Boeing 777, the 777 as it's known, is the world's largest twin-engine jet. It's capable of carrying anywhere from 314 people to 451, depending upon which 777 model is being used.
And there were also reports on social media that the emergency slides have been deployed and that there were passengers seen exiting the plane on those emergency slides. So apparently there were at least some passengers that have been able to get out. But we do know at this point, no injuries. We don't have any reports on injuries at this hour. But as we continue to look at this video, clearly, it was what can be described as a bad plane crash.
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously, as the plane is landing, everybody's in their seats. They're buckled in. The flight attendants make sure of that. But nevertheless, when a plane wobbles and flips over and ends up on its back, you worry about the fire hazard. And as you can see, heavy smoke is still coming from this plane. One of the things they would likely do is to foam down the plane to make sure that it doesn't explode, and then try to get to the injured passengers as quickly as possible. And one hopes that the injuries are minimal. The nature of the smoke, it's very difficult for us to tell whether or not the plane has split into pieces. But if it flipped over on its back, one would assume it sustained considerable damage. As it, again, crash landed at San Francisco International Airport.
And you were mentioning earlier, this airport itself, if you've flown into or out of here, surrounded by water, it's about 12 miles 12 miles south of downtown San Francisco. This clearly will be causing, some airport delays there and across the country as well as people travel on this, busy 4th of July holiday. We certainly hope that the people that were on board that plane are okay. We see the safety personnel all there trying to make sure that, they can get them off of that plane safely.
This, you were mentioning, it's south of San Francisco. It's very close to Candlestick Park, which is also south of San Francisco, and it's surrounded by water for takeoff and landing, and there's an industrial complex there as well as an office park. But the terminal itself is really out of the way of downtown San Francisco as you're sort of heading down Highway 101 heading south. It is just off to the left in the bay part of San Francisco, not on the ocean side, but the bay side of San Francisco. But it is surrounded by water as coastal airports often are for safety purposes. And it is considerably away from the residential population of San Francisco. Again, Asiana Airlines Boeing 777 from South Korea, according to Flight Tracker. It left South Korea, and its final destination was supposed to be San Francisco International Airport, SFO, as it's known.
And I know that you said this earlier, but our producer just told us in our ear that the FAA is now confirming that this crash has happened, which clearly it has. Another eyewitness saying that it happened around 11:30 a.m. once again at San Francisco International Airport. The plane was just about to land, according to this witness. And as Greg, you've said, the landing gear had come down, at least according to one eyewitness, when the tail of the plane came off. The aircraft flipped upside down, according to this eyewitness, and then came to a stop on its back. But if you take a look at that video, Greg, and specifically the YouTube video that we saw just a moment ago, it would appear to me that it's upright.
I can't really tell.
The YouTube video, you could see it a little more clearly, and it appeared to be upright. Once again, these are just initial reports coming in from eyewitnesses and such. But, we're waiting to tell exactly what happened and hear from an official there on the ground. Hopefully, we'll be able to get in touch with someone shortly for you so we can bring you, some actual confirmed information as to what's happened to this plane.
Again, it could carry as many as about 450 people, depending upon which model of the Boeing 777 that it is. I believe it was United Airlines that first made use of the Boeing 777 back in 1995. And it is the world's largest twin-engine jet, so it carries a great many people, hundreds at a time, but we just don't know anything about the flight manifest, how many people were on board. But one hopes for the best in terms of casualties, and no details on that. Just in the amount of time that we've been covering this breaking news story in the last 25 minutes, it's gone from dark black smoke to now just very light white smoke. And I believe that is the foam that we were talking about that seems to be around the perimeter or part of the perimeter of the plane there. One would hope they have all of the passengers out by now.
Yeah, we've been reporting some information as it's come in from KTVU there in San Francisco. They are reporting, at least according to the Redwood City Fire Department, that 3 alarms have been called. Many of their crews from the Redwood City Fire Department responded as well, and they are reporting that passengers were in need of burn treatment. That, according to KTVU, a television station there in the San Francisco area, and a fire department, there were passengers in need of burn treatment there at the scene.
Redwood City is probably the closest large town or small city other than San Francisco.